Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Christina. We are here again. A long, strange trip it's been. We talked, and I looked it up 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago when we met when you first
Wow.
started your crowdfunding uh,
Yeah.
uh, campaign, and we talked because you had some of the film already shot, and you were in the process of shooting more. And we were talking about it, trying to get you hype. And now here we are, uh,
Crazy.
3 years later, and your film is not only finished, but has been showing to people, and it's showing at the shameless plug Sawdust City Fright Fest, second weekend in October, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Time Community Theater. We are showing it in Wisconsin because Wisconsin horror, right?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very happy to be showing this film. A lot of familiar faces in it, I'll start with you, Robert. How's it feel? How's it feel to have it like in the can and rolling on screens?
It is one of those things it got to the point where I couldn't think about, is it going to get done? It just, are we going to get to the next step? Get that next scene, get that set built. But there is a lot of gratitude because so many people, especially like Christina, was there from the beginning and she was all the way at the very end. She was doing ADR and she stuck with it. Dude, she was fantastic. I can't say enough about her and all the other actors too. Everybody really hung in there and there's a lot of gratitude.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is indie cinema, so you shoot when you can with what money you can and where you can. Christina, uh, you know, uh, have to ask, what was it about the role that made you stick with it? Because you do hear horror stories of stars, when the films take a while to possibly leave or saying, you know what, no, I'm done. I'm gonna go do something else now.
I was just having so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob fosters an environment on set where everyone is just laughing and joking around the entire time. And then obviously you buckle down and you do the scene, but it was every step of the process, every minute of it was just fun.
Yeah, and it looks like you were having fun as well. How long were you shooting your scenes for? Was it here and there for a number of the years, or did you finish early?
I wouldn't say we finished early,
Mhm.
but
Well,
we when did I start? I started in the summer, it would have been like July or August. And
mhm,
then we finished up filming the following March.
mhm.
Is that right?
I think it was longer than that. Uh,
Really?
I think it was like 2 years that you were shooting.
March of the next
Of
following
the
Last
next
year.
year,
year.
yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah. I
That makes
think,
sense. I don't know. It was all a pandemic blur.
It was pandemic.
yeah, that didn't help.
I was gonna ask how did the challenge of the pandemic, how did that work out for you? Because you were filming pretty much during the entire time because you started just as it was ramping up, and then now you're finished. How what kind of
Yeah.
challenge did that present for you?
Well, originally the movie had two heroes, two female heroes, and one of them left, which is completely understandable. There was concern over COVID, and I understand 100%. And so we had to kind of stop for a little bit and retool. And I was expecting Christina to leave because she had been told, well, you're going to be in half the movie. And now, well, now you're in the entire movie. So that was a pain. And then we did masks for a while, but I don't know. We just kept rolling and nobody got sick. So we got lucky. I
You
will
got
say that we got lucky.
you got lucky, and I see. The other actress dropped out, right, Christina? How hard was it to hide the body? No, just kidding.
I mean, she's still alive.
I know. I'm just joking. Just
But
joking.
it was a huge change in responsibility
Sure.
for her because now she had more fight scenes to do, just more, twice as much as what I had talked to her about.
Mhm.
And she hung in there and got it done. She's a pro.
I mean, you talk about it as if it wasn't like super exciting. Sorry, Maggie. It was very exciting.
Yeah, Christina, did you get when we first talked, you were talking about how you didn't have any fights experience. You did have dancing experience and such. As the film went along and you had to get more and more scenes where you're doing the action, you know, did it get more comfortable for you? Did you kind of fall more natural for you? Were you punching people on the street just to practice? I mean,
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know if you've heard about like the New York puncher who was going
yeah,
around and punching
yeah.
random people. Yeah, that was me. Um, no, but I definitely got a lot more comfortable with
Mhm.
it as we went along, to
Sure.
the point where there was one scene we were filming where in the stage directions it was written, like Dax turns around and somebody elbows somebody, and by the time we got to that point in the scene, Bob was going to explain to us what to do, and we had already worked it out. We were like, oh
Oh,
yeah, we got
nice.
it.
Yep,
So
yep. I was so proud. I really was. It's like, oh, the student is now the teacher. That was
we got
awesome.
there.
But it
Yeah.
helps that you're in such great condition as a dancer. Uh, After we had our premiere, somebody stopped me and goes, "I knew she was a fighter from the moment she did the kick. When you that first fight you do where you're on your back and you kick up and you're standing, it's that physicality that totally sold you as a fighter."
Yeah. So thank you, ballet.
I'm sure ballet appreciates the experience of fighting that it's given you. So there you go.
Of
But
course.
no, the action scenes with they're quite prevalent in here, and they are involved. And I was impressed. And not just with you, but the rest of the crew as well seemed very comfortable with it. Did you have a lot of rehearsal and blocking out and working because it's indie film, so you usually have a short shoot time. Did you have a lot of time though to work out those scenes so you got the fight right?
Well, we were lucky that we had Brandon Tracy.
Hmm.
He's our fight coordinator, and he took the actors even before we worked on fights. He just with the actors every week and worked with punching and kicking and falling just to make sure everything was safe. And we tried to be good with getting the blocking and make everybody safe. Nobody got hurt. There was not a single, at least, I don't know, unless you could say different, Christina. I don't think anybody got hurt. What do you think, Christina? Was there enough time to learn what you needed to learn for the fights?
There was for sure enough time. I mean, it's one of those things where once I watched the fight scenes, I had a million things I would do differently.
Sure.
But I always felt comfortable on set. I always felt like I knew what I was doing and that we practiced enough. We went slow. Having multiple takes always helps because I come
Yeah,
from a theater background where you get on stage and you do it once and
Right.
yeah.
yeah.
And that's it. That's it. Whatever you put out there to the public, that's what they get. So,
Uh-huh. It's brutal.
that is brutal. I've done some live stage stuff. I was part of an improv comedy troupe in college, and so you're trying to do not only a scene but make people laugh, and you land those jokes, and there's no going back. You land a bad joke, and the crowd is silent, and you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna slink off the stage now and hide myself for like the rest of the day.
That was like me earlier in this interview when I didn't land the joke about Maggie in the body bag.
Ah, there you
Happens.
But yeah, so I mean, you have some involved sets in here, and the makeup. I loved the makeup effects in here on everybody. And Christina, you're in makeup for most of this film, more so than I think everybody, because you're almost in every scene. I'm like, man, who'd you get to do the makeup for this, and how'd you get that to keep it clean?
Well, I did my own makeup.
Oh, you did. Cool.
Yeah. Which is another thing where once I watched the movie, I was like, oh no, would have fixed that. Um, I did my own makeup for the most part, but we had someone come in and help us with some of the prosthetics and some of the
Hmm.
gory stuff, the burns.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had Anna came in and helped out with that. And then Steph did a really good job. Remember the burns on the side of her face? That was Steph. So we had a couple different makeup artists come in and do the more difficult makeups.
Yeah, and April, our assistant director, did a lot of the zombie looks
Yes.
too.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the zombies look fun. I mean, you guys all look like you're having fun making this film.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was so much fun. We had the our wacky big fight scenes where it's like just fight after fight after fight where someone's getting their arm broken or their head blown off or punched through the chest. By the way, Kristina punches through her dad's chest in one of the
Oh,
scenes.
that's your dad?
Yeah.
How satisfying was that?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't actually punch through his chest.
Oh,
Just kidding. I
well,
love you, Dad.
But
It was so fun.
we set a weekend aside just to do all those,
sure.
and we had easily 20 people in there because it was like, okay, we're done with this fight, on to the next one. And we just kept rotating through, doing it as quick as we could. And as I'm shooting, the crowd, the audience is moving behind me, and it was everybody's laughing and having a good time. I've never shot with an audience before, but I want to do that more because it was so exciting. Everybody was having so much fun.
Helped feed off that energy, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like live theater.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
Christina, you do a wicked choke slam. You do a wicked choke slam in this. I saw it in the trailer. I'm like, wait a minute. And then I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, heck, that was like wrestling
Oh,
quality,
little
like
WWE
little
there with
WWE
Dono.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was completely real. Yeah.
How many times did you get the chance to choke slam her? Did you
To
do a
answer
lot?
your question, I have no idea.
Was
Yeah.
it a lot of takes? Was it after a while? It's just like, no, we're done now.
No, I actually think that one was pretty quick. I think
Hmm.
we did it. I think we did a couple takes,
Sure.
and then the person being chokeslammed was like, "Yeah, I think we got it."
Yeah.
I'm good with one. I'm good. But yeah, your fight scenes are great in here, and the action, and you got the comedy in here as well, and the sets. And uh, Christina, for you, what was like one of your favorite scenes that you had to do?
This is gonna sound crazy, um, and it's actually a huge spoiler.
Mm.
Me saying this right now, so spoiler alert. But the one where Carlos dies, Captain
Mm.
North dies, was actually so fun to film, and not fun like we were laughing, but it just it felt so good. And Carlos is an amazing partner. Like
Sure.
when you're acting with him, you really are feeding off of each other. And if you give him something a little bit different, he gives you something a little bit different. And it's playful and it's different every time. So that day, I remember leaving set just feeling on top of the world. I was like, this is amazing. The whole movie's
I
gonna be
was
amazing.
crushed. I don't know. You remember we stopped filming and I had been crying and you had, you need a hug? All right. And so you guys were so good. I could tell the first when we did that mission briefing and you two were working off each other. It's like, all right, we got these two work well together. And I have done so many scenes in all my time of writing and directing. That's one of my best scenes. I mean, one of the most emotional scenes. When I watch it, it's just I hated editing it because it felt so real. You guys did such a great job.
I felt terrible that you had to then go back and edit it. I was like, oh no, you gotta outsource this one.
I wish I could. That was tough.
Well, it came together well, and I could see, that's an appropriate time too, when you want something like that. So, and then your flashback scenes as well help set up that for the character, and just yeah, I mean, I loved how you put this together. Now it is to give people. I have to let our audience know if they're not familiar with indie, you are working on a thin budget, so your sets were very much felt earlier trauma-esque type of
Yep, yep.
sets. Very,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah. Micro budget.
mi
Yep.
micro budget. For the equipment that you got, were you able to get some of it donated, or was it, able to like go to thrift stores, or for some of your set dressings and that, how'd you put those together? Because it is sci-fi, so you've got to have computers
Yeah.
and such.
Most of it was bought. Like we built all the flats for the sets, and that was Home Depot. Oh, I will say the gurneys, like the gurney that Kristina was on when they whip the tarp back and she's a zombie and she grabs Taylor by the throat. That I drove way far north to buy two gurneys from this guy who had sold stuff to The Walking Dead. He had
Oh,
a mortuary and he had sold stuff to the Walking Dead, and he had put an ad out, so I got some stuff from him, but not a whole lot donated.
so most of that was pretty much all made by you and your folks.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Well, it looked impressive. I mean, enough. You get the idea across, you know.
It's more about the acting than it is the
It
sets.
it is when you have slimmer sets, you need that acting that comes
Yeah,
across.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, so Christina, you do get to work with a squad. Did you guys have some time to hang out and get to know each other a little bit before being thrown into, hey, you're now a military squad and you need to act like, you all are working together.
A little bit. A little bit. I feel like I don't know if this is correct, but I feel like some of the other squad members had worked with each other before on past Bob Love projects.
Yeah,
Is that
yep,
true?
yeah, yeah,
And I feel like that was fitting that it was me who was the newbie
yeah,
because
yeah.
in terms of the script, it is I who am the newbie. That was really good English. But so we got to hang out a little bit, and it certainly helps that we had a couple of scenes we initially filmed that we then had to throw away.
Oh, sure.
So we had a little bit more rapport by the time we got into the films that are
Yeah,
wow, scenes that are actually in the movie. Yes.
yeah.
And you get to even handle a rather impressive weapon. Uh, these sniper rifle. How fun was that?
That was really fun. One of my favorite moments with it was when I was well, when I was trying to assemble the gun in one of the earlier scenes,
Yeah.
and they were telling me, "Oh, like the magazine goes here." And I said, "What's a magazine?" And then there was another moment, I think, where I was like trying to put it in, and I was failing, and then Bob was like, "Cut." He's like, "We can't use this."
Yeah, that's in our blooper reel.
We just won't have you. We just won't have you reloading. That's all.
Yeah. No, so it was fun. It was very new and different for me, and that's part of the fun of the whole thing.
And didn't Carlos talk to you a little bit about how to, like when you're laying down, how you sight?
Yeah, Carlos
Yeah.
was very helpful with all of the weapons stuff because he has a military background, so he's
Ah. Okay.
familiar.
I was wondering. I was like, Carlos is familiar with the weapons, but no military background. Okay. Well, maybe. And Robert, when you're because you've got a fair amount of weaponry in this film, and especially given the cinematic environment we have now, how did you handle safety with the weapons and such?
No real weapons on set.
Mhm.
Until we get to the point where there's a weapon master
Sure.
who actually is going to keep track of what's going on with it, I will never have a real weapon on set. So it's all like pellet guns and BB guns and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
some of those air rifles now look pretty realistic. So,
oh heck yeah, yes they do, yes they do. Yeah, we were actually the sniper rifle. When we would go into the woods to shoot, I would cover it in a blanket
mm.
so that people wouldn't see what we're lugging around, so we didn't get the police called on us. Although one night we were shooting, we did hear gunshots off in the distance. So Madison,
Well, you
Yeah.
depending on where your location is, sure. You see, that's just
yeah.
then you just work that into your actual sound effects bank, right?
We actually did. It's when at the very beginning we've got the one guy, he's yelling at the sergeant, going, hold the line. And
Yeah.
then he walks off and he's supposed to see the line of zombies walking towards him. And he goes, "Dear God in heaven." And there's like gunfire in the background. That was the gunfire.
Oh,
I did not realize that made it into the movie.
Yep, yep.
Oh my God.
That reminds me of the story with Gags the Clown when they were doing where they had gags going around to different areas in Green Bay or whatnot. But some of the neighborhoods, they would like go out, stand on the corner for a little bit, and then run in the car because they were just the neighborhoods weren't exactly the best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But hey, you got to pick your location where you can, which you do have a number of outside locations as well. In that, did you do some scouting? Was it all in the same area? Uh,
Most of the wood stuff was in one area
mhm,
that we just kept shifting around where we were at. It was big enough that we could shift around where we were
sure.
at.
Hmm.
So, but we got really lucky, like Funk's Pub let us shoot there. We shot in their parking lot. Um, yeah, yeah, we got lucky with locations, you know.
With Funk's Pub, did they have like, well, I got to be in the movie then if I'm going to be there
Well, he
because
was already in, actually, he's the guy, he's the evil physicist at the end who gets chewed on by the zombies.
oh,
So
okay,
that's Jeff
sure.
Funk. He was in the movie before I even wanted to use his location.
Well, that worked out.
Yeah,
I thought you
yeah.
were going to
That's
say
Bob's story.
I thought you were going to say it was the one that Christina kept ramming his head into the table. So,
That was Howie. And he came in just he wasn't even supposed to be in the movie,
sure.
but we were shooting with the two actors back when I had two heroes. We had shot this big motorcycle scene, and Taylor's supposed to come up and go, "Oh, someone was chasing me with a blowtorch," and he's just supposed to say the name McNally.
Sure.
But he pointed at one of the bikers and goes, "McNally was chasing me with a blowtorch." So when we reshot it with just Kristina, McNally was there, and suddenly he became a much bigger character. Yeah.
Yeah, and uh, for some of those scenes in that, you've got to kind of pull your punches, right, Christina? How did you get into it? Did you actually ram someone's head into a table at some point, or?
Well, a lady never tells.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go. She won't say for sure. They didn't tell Robert if it did happen, right? They're not going to admit it,
we,
but
we can't, for insurance purposes, we
no,
can't say. Everything was safe.
we were completely safe. Yeah. So, what did you think about it, Christina, when it's on screen, it's all said and done, the dust has settled. What did you think of the film overall and the response?
I was so filled with gratitude and an overwhelming sense of community.
Hmm.
It really felt like a group of a group of people coming together and working towards a common cause, and it was such a beautiful experience
Hmm.
in that sense. What was the question again?
Yeah, no, that's the exact that works, sure.
I'm sorry. It's been a crazy day. I signed a lease for an apartment today.
Oh,
Oh, congrats, dude.
congratulations.
You,
So,
thank you. Moving to Brooklyn, but anyways, that's besides
Uh,
the point.
well, if you don't mind me chiming in on it,
Please.
when we did the premiere, I could not have hired a better crowd than what we got. They not only laughed because we've got some lines that we know is going to get a big laugh. Like there's one point early on where Christina drops an F bomb, and
yes.
she does it so well, and the timing is perfect, and we get a laugh at that. But people were laughing all the way through it, like little stuff that we were doing, and it just felt because yeah, you look at it and you go, oh God, we could do that better. I want to reshoot that. Let's, all you do is see mistakes, but then you get with that audience, you go, you know what? That's not so bad. We did a good job. And that felt like Christina said, it was like a community
Mhm.
that a brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever. We all worked together and made it happen. And we got something that people were able to enjoy.
And I think some people forget sometimes that film is made for entertainment. You're entertainers. I mean, and there's certain types of films, but and I'm sure Christina could fill me in on it. But when you take a job, an acting position like this in A Time to Die, and you read, oh look, it's time travel with zombies. You kind of are knowing what kind of film you're getting into, right?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
I mean, we're not talking Shakespeare, but we're still talking entertainment. I'm not, no, not trying to slight anything. I'm just saying that there are some films that are very heavy and serious, or like Robert mentioned, The Walking Dead, and then there's A Time to Die, where you got a scientist going, "Hey, is that blood over there?"
Well, and I think on a serious note, I think in the acting world, sometimes people view comedy as being
Mhm.
less skilled than
Sure.
drama. And I think that you can take comedy extremely serious. And
Right.
it's, you know, everyone talks about timing, comedic timing. That's a skill. That's something you have to hone and work on and keep on. So you
Yeah.
can bring that sense of like hard work and sort of perfectionism to campy comedy movies also, you know?
Well, yeah, because if comedy, if your joke doesn't land, then it's harder to get that audience back. So,
It's not comedy.
right. Only tough part for when you're shooting versus live stage, which I'm sure you're aware, is the fact that you get immediate feedback when you're doing live and you do a joke versus shooting in front of a camera with some people, and maybe you make the crew laugh or whatnot, but you may not get your feedback that you're like, did I nail that right?
Oh, I make sure the actors know when they got it right.
I was gonna say we got feedback.
I have some phrases I say that based on how big the phrase is, they know how well they nailed it.
And how many F bombs are a part of it?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, so is Robert really a slave driver on set there, Christina? You can tell us now. I mean, it's all over, right? No, just
Oh
kidding.
yeah, absolutely. He just works us to the bone.
Yeah.
I'm a
See, I knew
horrible
that about you,
music.
Robert. You seem
I
like a nice guy, but you get behind the camera, Robert, and you're
get
like,
me on set and I'm Martin Scorsese. I drive them till they drop.
you're like
No,
Kubrick, right? It's like,
yeah, oh Kubrick. Yeah, yeah, definitely. She was Shelley Long and I was Kubrick. No, I have always maintained when I work with actors, I'm getting to work with elves. They are magic.
Mhm.
And you got to treat them like they're magic because they deserve that treatment. They're showing you their heart. And you can't be mean to someone like that. You don't always say, oh, good. If they don't do a good job, you don't say good job. But if they do a good job, you let them know they did a good job. So,
Yeah,
and
and
I met
sometimes I don't know if you can't even get through the line, you're like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, and you get some wonderful scenes and dialogue with a few scenes there with Stephanie Rose Quinnell as well. I liked your banter back and forth and such with her. And then you have Amy Radoff. You got a lot of veteran indie filmmakers in here as well, actresses and actors and such. Were they able to? Were they helpful, Christina, or were they able to give advice and such since this was kind of your first movie that you did?
It's sort of taboo
Mm,
to give advice to fellow actors on set.
mm. Okay,
So I
sure.
would say I really relied on Bob
Hmm.
and and asking
Sure.
asking questions. Is this good? Is this right?
Hmm.
Do you need me to do this different? You know?
there, yes, and there was one time I remember you were asking me, did I do this right? It's like, dude, yes, you did it right. But I like that you would always ask, and
Hmm.
and that you trusted me enough to tell you that stuff. But you have such an innate sense of timing, and like you talked about you and Carlos, but you do this with everybody. You give and you take. Like you'll listen to what they're saying and you respond to it. You don't just blah, say your line. You listen to what's going on and color what you're saying by what they gave you. So,
And
yeah.
and and Robert, for you, similar question. When you're working with a number of veteran indie actors and such, it, how easy is that, or is that challenging sometimes? Does it depend on the actor? I'm not saying with this group, just in general, because you've made, a number of indie films in your, so far. And is it sometimes, is it based off of the person more so than whether or not it's a veteran or not?
I do believe it's more based on the person than it is the veteran. But and I know I've said this before. Christina's probably tired of hearing me say it, but my one special talent is picking good actors
Hmm.
because I can usually tell if someone's going to be combative or they're more into themselves. They don't want to be part of the group. They aren't. I don't want them in the film. Not that they're bad, but they just aren't going to work with my working style. I
Sure.
want the open, friendly, giving people like everybody on our cast and crew.
Yeah, and something that does when you create that environment, and something you do as a director, Bob, is you encourage people to use their instincts and to just bring themselves to the table.
Well,
And so that's just a fantastic directing style because you end up getting a lot of little nuances and little layers.
well, I view myself as I'm the quarterback. I hand you the ball. You get to the end zone, however you're going to get there. You work the magic. You bring it to life. I wrote words, and you're free to change the words around to what makes you comfortable with. But if I just tell you what to say or how to say it, then you just parrot what I do. And sometimes I don't think I ever had to do it with you, but when you do a line read, you're basically poisoning the well. And with Christina, well, with everybody, you just let them run with it and they breathe life into it. And it always is such a rush to hear them do better than I thought it was going to be in my head. Like there's a scene where the squad and Dax, Christina are walking down the hallway and they're having this little back and forth, and it felt so natural. I didn't have to say a thing to them. They just all did their thing, and they made it so much fun.
And that's great that you can have that and let your trust your performers
Oh yeah,
have
definitely.
that trust because I think that's always an important element that when I've talked to filmmakers of having that trust of okay, I'm putting this person in front of the camera. Here's the material. I'm trusted they're going to do this,
Yeah.
but also maybe take direction.
Oh,
Maybe you know.
they got to be able to take direction. Yeah.
But then, right, Christina, you as a performer, you have to have some trust with the director that they're leading you down the right path, or that they're giving you the right setup for the scene, so that you don't have a dramatic scene. You're like, okay, you're gonna comedic here. You're just gonna be giggling this whole time. I just want to see smiling, and it ends up being a death scene that's supposed to be serious, and you're just like, well, really, you want me to do that? Oh, okay. I mean,
And I think honestly, Bob, had you ever given me direction that felt totally whack, I feel like I would have fought you on it.
Oh
But
yeah.
but you just never did. It just you gave direction, you were like, hey, this is why the character's doing this. And I was always like, that makes sense.
Yeah. Although you remember, you talked me into doing that flashback scene. You remember that?
oh,
Because
did you? Was that your idea?
that was totally her idea.
Don't remember it being my idea, to be honest with you. But if Bob says it was, it probably was.
It was when we were shooting when you did the WWE the choke slam on Jono. After the third time we had to revive him, we were talking, and you said that we need a flashback scene where we see how Norris and Dax meet. And so it's like, oh yeah, she's right. And I think that is like a pivotal scene because she's a strong person. She goes, we really need this. And
Mhm.
it made complete sense to the story. So
And that
yeah,
was also just something that me as an actor that I was wanting. I was
uh,
like, I want more background on these characters. So surely the audience will want that too.
yeah, yeah.
Well, and especially, I mean, that was a great addition because it makes your end fight more impactful when you have to fight, the classic, the master and the Padawan fighting each other, the two, the two friends having to fight, and that always adds, it just makes a natural tension, brings an extra layer to whatever you're fighting versus just, oh look, you're the mini boss I'm going to fight now.
Well, that scene where her and Norris fight, that's actually based on a real life uh, thing that happened in my life when I had to drop off my youngest daughter at college in Chicago.
Mhm.
Um, that's what that was because me, as the protector of her, had to die. I can't be her protector anymore. She has to
Right.
take care of herself. I just got to be the dad. And that scene tells that story, and it's still like every time I see it, it chokes me up because it takes me back to me seeing her in the hallway going, I couldn't even say goodbye. I just
Sure.
waved and left. So yeah, and they did such a great job with it.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our villain, Zahn. We talked about her in the we talked about her the when we did our first interview a few years ago, and you were exactly right. Jessica Jane Witham, I'm like she she was like her villain was wonderful. Uh, you know, uh, you know, just how did you give her direction, or did she just dive right into it,
Oh,
Robert?
Jessica Jane is an entity unto herself, and she will take direction. She wants direction, but she had very strong opinions on how she wanted to play the character. And actually, that's another thing that I love about this cast. They get my sense of humor. Kristina gets it. Jessica Jane Witham gets it. You know, everybody got it. But she goes, like one thing she goes, I want to give her a British accent. Okay, give her a British accent.
Well, I mean,
And
all the bad guys are British. We know
oh
that.
yeah, the classic villains are all British. But all the little mannerisms, like the clapping, she claps a couple different times. That was completely hers. She's just one of those people where you set up the scene, you'll let her go, and she will just chew up the scenery.
And she definitely does that. I will say, yeah, it's one
Oh,
of those screen presence things. When she's on screen, yeah, it's direction towards her for sure.
oh yeah, yeah. She's a force of nature.
What was it like, Christina, acting opposite the villain like that? Did that make it easier with the how she was so into the role? Did that help you get into the role as well?
Oh, absolutely. I adored working with
Mhm.
JJJJW.
Mhm.
A million J's. Your earlier question about learning from veteran
Sure.
film
Mhm.
actors, I realized once we brought up JJW, I learned a lot from watching her
Mhm.
and the way she transforms from herself into Zahn in the blink of an eye was incredible. And I just remember watching with my jaw dropped at how she would just be like interacting, and then she would be Zahn, and shoot, I would read the words on the page, and then I would see her interpretation, and I'd be like, I don't know how you got from this to that, but that's incredible, you know.
Uh, and,
Anyways,
and,
it was
and
fun.
no, no, and that's great that you could learn through observation as well. Pick up on that. And yeah, she just was so fitting for your villain in this that she made the scientists in here just feel small, even though they were kind of villain. The inventors of the time machine. I was like, yeah, no, she's the real heavy here the whole time.
Well, and we actually, she was not going to be the villain
Mhm.
originally. We had someone else was going to be the villain, and she had like some tiny little part at the when we did the table read. She was like some agent or something. She was going to be in two or three scenes, but then the person who was going to be the villain wound up dropping out. So like, well, I'm not going to get JJW to be the villain. She's got bigger things to do, but she jumped at the chance. She loved doing it. So we got really lucky all the way around. We, you know,
Well, I think you did get lucky. You have a fun movie that you I always say it is seriously fun that doesn't take itself serious, but it's still, regardless of if you're making a drama or you're making a comedy or a film like A Time to Die, though it is all fun, it is still serious film work, right? It's
oh
still
yeah, oh definitely, yeah, yeah. I mean, they got to show up, know their lines, and get the shots, and yeah.
and yeah, I'm hoping that it gets a great reception. We had a lot of fun on the committee watching the film.
Oh good.
And I hear you may be there Friday night for the when we show it in October, Robert.
Oh, I'm definitely going to be there.
Yeah.
You'll have to knock me out to keep me away.
So will
I
you
think we're
be
going to get Go
Will you
ahead.
be
I'm
there
sorry.
too, Christina? Or I guess you'd have to travel, right?
I was gonna say I've thrown it back and forth in my head,
Hmm.
but now with the whole moving thing in there,
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
it's looking like
Yeah.
probably not.
Well, you'll be with us in spirit and on the screen, so there you go.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. so, so looking forward to seeing you, Robert, and whoever you bring to the showing Friday night at the Sawdust City Fright Fest. It's been picked for other festivals as well. I've seen it, and you're getting it out there to people. And hopefully even more eyes. What's next for the film, Robert, besides the fest? Are you looking to get it online at some point? Are you looking for physical media?
Oh yeah, that's well, we've got physical media, we've got DVDs, but we've got a distributor now, and so now it's being shown to a bunch of different channels like Amazon Prime and Tubi and Roku and a bunch of them. So, and some things are good, but I can't say what they
Well,
are.
yeah, obviously. No,
So, but
I, I
the biggest
fully
thing I
get
can say
that.
is we've got a distributor. So,
Look at Christina. She's suddenly like, oh,
Aw.
well, yeah, I know. I almost said something about it on Facebook, and then I'm reading through the fine print, and it's like, oh, geez, I can't say anything yet. So I had to like go, nope, sorry, I
Oh,
can't say
yeah.
anything. But
That's
once
always
things happen, I can let people know.
that's always one of those big challenges with every filmmaker I talk to who's looking for distribution. They're like, well, I can't really say anything yet.
Yeah,
And it's like
yeah.
you can tell people want to say something, but they just can't, and completely understandable. But and Christina, what's next for you besides moving on up to apartment in Brooklyn?
uh, for me, I think I'm gonna write a musical next.
Nice.
Probably feels
Yay!
so random, but yeah, I think that's next on the docket is getting more
Ho-
into writing.
Horror musical or the
Horrifying in a way.
the world needs more of those. Needs more horror musicals. Well, I'm
Oh,
not
that's true.
I'm not a huge fan of Repo Genetic Opera. Our good friend Dawn, she's big fan of that one. But I do like Anna and the Apocalypse, and there's a couple other horror musicals out there that are just wonderful. And I'm like, I just love that combination of musical and gore, just being blood spraying, but also being very musical and light and
Sure.
fun. So there you go. But well, we look forward if you hopefully you can get that together, Christina, because yeah, I'm always down
Thank you.
for musicals. It's funny how musicals were big for a while and now they kind of are out there, but it's almost like they're not promoting it. I don't know if you guys saw the latest trailer for Wicked, but a film's literally based on a musical, and there isn't a single musical number in the trailer, like at all, like just performers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just a little defying gravity in the background.
Just a
If
little
you
bit.
know the musical.
So see, and there you go, Robert. Now you need to do A Time to Die, the musical.
The musical? I want to do A Time to Die too. We
Well,
could
there
do that.
you could do that too.
Can we call it A Time to Die Again?
Oh,
Oh, there you
that was
go.
my idea. I'm writing. I thought of that.
That didn't come from Christina at all. That's a Robert idea right there. That's right. Well, I want to thank you both for taking time to talk about it. Christina, great talking to you again. Robert, great
You
talking
too?
to you again.
Mark,
Looking forward to seeing you on Friday and the Friday of the festival, which is in just a little over 3 weeks,
yeah, yeah,
two and a half,
yep.
3 weeks. It's showing to an audience. So, yeah, thank you very much, and everyone, folks, keeping up to A Time to Die. Robert, where can they keep up with it at?
We're on Facebook. Just look A Time to Die movie.
Mhm.
That's our Facebook page. That's where I'll be making the big announcement about where people can see it
Sure.
online. So.
Fantastic. And look at Christina. She's like, online, yeah. Because then she could go and share it with people and go, hey, I was in a movie.
Yeah.
Look at this. I choke slammed that person. Look at that. I put my fist through my dad's chest. So,
Yeah,
yeah, you better respect me.
yeah.
That's
You
right.
tell him, Mark.
That's right. You've got that evidence right there. But no, it's always a pleasure talking to you both. Thank you very much. And folks, yeah, check it out. Go to the Facebook Time to Die to look for where you can see this wonderful setup to campy, sci-fi horror, zombies, time travel. There's blood. There's guts. There's guns. I mean, you've got it all in here just about. So
Thank
thank you
you.
very much to you both.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.